There are movies that feel like time capsules, not just because of the era they came out in, but of an entire creative evolution, and The Frighteners is one of those movies. It's a strange, stylish, and criminally underappreciated horror comedy that somehow straddles Ghostbusters, Beetlejuice, and a proto-Lord of the Rings vibe all at once. Yes, Peter Jackson's gonzo ghost flick might just be the reason he got to bring Tolkien's Middle-earth to life a few years later. If you squint at The Frighteners long enough, you can already see the seeds of his blockbuster future buried beneath all the ectoplasm and CGI Reaper, especially the CGI Reaper. Nobody could have predicted that the scruffy New Zealander who once splattered sheep guts in Dead Alive would end up making one of the most expensive trilogies in film history.
Not listening. Not listening.
But before the Hobbits, Orcs, and Gollum, Jackson brought us this horror comedy classic. It was supposed to be his American crossover moment, his big Hollywood debut, and the project that would prove he could handle large-scale effects and a studio budget. It's got ghosts, Grim Reapers, serial killers, and Michael J. Fox doing psychic house calls. What could go wrong? Well, quite a bit actually, and that's why we're revisiting Peter Jackson's The Frighteners.
Start pulling your weight, guys. You're going back to the cemetery.
Yeah, well, you can pull this, Frank.
Let's go back to the mid-90s. Peter Jackson had just come off Heavenly Creatures, a dark, artful, true crime drama that earned him some serious critical attention and caught the eye of Back to the Future director Robert Zemeckis. Zemeckis had liked the idea of Jackson and his partner Fran Walsh writing something in the horror comedy space, and originally pitched it as a Tales from the Crypt feature.
Cut! Cut! Oh, hello, kitties.
But the script they cooked up, involving a haunted town plagued by a mysterious ghost and a con artist psychic who can actually see the dead, was too strong to be confined to a franchise anthology. Zemeckis decided that it deserved its own spotlight, producing it under his banner with Universal. From day one, Jackson and Walsh had one person in mind for their ghost-busting antihero, Frank Bannister. And no, it wasn't Bill Murray. It was none other than Michael J. Fox. At that time, Fox was looking for something fresh. He wanted to be given a chance to flex a darker edge after years of charming audiences in Back to the Future, Family Ties, Homeward Bound, and the iconic Doc Hollywood. However, with that shift, it would come at a cost. The Frighteners would mark his last live-action leading role in a film, excluding Stuart Little for obvious reasons. While shooting on location in New Zealand, Fox realized how much he missed being close to his family. He decided to return to television, launching Spin City later that year.
You know what he's trying to do? He's trying to get more money out of us is what he's trying to do. Get your shit. Get the hell out of my house.
But before we jump too far ahead, let's discuss his performance. It's probably his most underrated of them all. He nails that blend of exhaustion and cynicism that makes Frank feel both haunted and human. His comic timing keeps the film grounded even when Peter Jackson's camera starts flying through the walls, gravestones, and the afterlife itself. There's a vulnerability to him, a sense that this guy has seen a lot, and that tone becomes the emotional backbone of the film. Production in New Zealand wasn't all smooth sailing though. Fox actually broke his foot during a nighttime shoot in the forest. Jackson later joked that it was a blessing in disguise, since it gave him extra time to rework the script and fine-tune the film's pacing while his star healed. Fox also couldn't quite shake his old Back to the Future habits though. He kept accidentally calling John Astin's ghostly Judge character Doc.
Little crook in the Pony Express, huh, Doc? Whoa! I called him Doc.
Doc! Doc, I did it again.
Somewhere out there, Christopher Lloyd was probably smiling, as were the rest of us. Speaking of Astin, his role as a decrepit gunslinger ghost is a highlight, complete with the 5-hour makeup sessions courtesy of Rick Baker's team, and it shows. Astin's character was supposed to have a much larger arc, even returning for the finale to help Frank battle the Grim Reaper, but those scenes were cut for pacing and budgetary issues. You can catch glimpses of them in the exhaustive making-of documentary that Jackson later produced for the DVD, because of course he did. In true Peter Jackson fashion, the behind-the-scenes doc runs over 4 hours long, and for a movie about ghosts, the Frighteners sure didn't know how to die quietly.
Looks like I ain't shooting with blanks no more!
Danny Elfman signed on to score the film purely because he was impressed with Heavenly Creatures, agreeing to join before even reading the script. The result is one of Elfman's best scores, albeit underrated. It's playful, gothic, and a perfect fit for Jackson's blend of macabre and the absurd. The movie also features early digital effects from Jackson's own fledgling company, Weta Digital. They had to expand from one computer to 35 just to handle the film's demanding visuals. Even though the graphics look dated and reminiscent of the best PlayStation 2 looking renders, those machines would come in handy a few years later when Jackson was busy rendering armies of orcs and elves. As we stated before, The Frighteners follows Frank Bannister, a once successful architect turned shady ghost hunter who uses his ability to see the dead to run a scam business. His spectral buddies create hauntings, and he charges locals to exorcise them. But things take a deadly turn when a Grim Reaper-like spirit begins killing people for real, carving numbers into their foreheads and pushing Frank to the top of the suspect list. As he teams up with a curious doctor, played by Trini Alvarado, and a pair of bumbling ghost sidekicks, Frank uncovers a decades-old killing spree and a personal connection that forces him to confront life, death, and redemption, all with Peter Jackson's twisted mix of humor, horror, and heart at the forefront of this lavish production. That's not to say that the production was all smooth, technical magic though. Universal originally wanted a PG-13 rating to appeal to a broader audience. The MPAA thought that Jackson's vision was just too intense. They eventually slapped it with an R. Jackson was so annoyed that he went back and made one of the death scenes even more graphic, reasoning that if he was stuck with an R, he may as well earn it. Casting-wise, The Frighteners is an absolute gold mine. You've got Dee Wallace, the wholesome mom from E.T., giving one of the creepiest performances of her career as the damaged and deranged Patricia Bradley. Jake Busey, yes, Gary Busey's son, channeling a grinning serial killer energy that makes the movie's midsection pop like an electrical storm. And then there's Jeffrey Combs. Holy shit, Jeffrey Combs. If you only know him from Reanimator, you're still not ready for this. His portrayal of FBI agent Milton Dammers is one of the most delightfully unhinged performances in the 90s. Dammers is twitchy, paranoid, allergic to human touch, and looks like he's been mainlining cold brew and conspiracy theories for a decade straight. Combs personally designed the character's Hitler-inspired haircut and protruding ears to emphasize his warped nationalism and trauma. The result is a character so absurdly over the top that he loops back around to genius. Every time he's on screen, the Frighteners burst to life with manic energy. He's the kind of villain you can't look away from, a paranoid weirdo who steals the movie right out from under the ghosts.
But what about the guy in the toilet? What'd he do to you, Frank? Piss on your hush puppies?
Even with its strong cast, the film would still face an uphill battle. The movie would be scheduled to release in July of 1996, which was the same month as Independence Day. Jackson and Zemeckis had begged for a Halloween release, but the studio wanted a summer tentpole, which this film was not. The movie limped to just over $29 million worldwide against its $30 million budget. Not an outright disaster, but far from the blockbuster that Jackson had hoped for. Some fans have since noted that the movie even hit theaters unfinished. The accelerated summer release shaved months off of post-production, leaving several VFX shots looking rough. Jackson later admitted that he would have liked more time to polish things. Still, what he managed with Weta's limited resources was really impressive for the time. Of course, like so many misunderstood cult films, The Frighteners didn't stay buried for long. The home video release gave it a second life, with fans discovering its blend of humor, horror, and heart. It became one of those word-of-mouth favorites, the kind of VHS that horror nerds would pass around like contraband in the late 90s. The DVD release later sweetened the deal with a 2-hour director's cut that restored several deleted scenes and added clarity to the story, particularly around the judge and the final act's pacing. And like we stated earlier, there was that behind-the-scenes documentary, a 4-hour deep dive that only Peter Jackson could make. It chronicled everything from the early Weta Digital experiments to the emotional toll of shooting abroad. It's basically a film school in a box, and reminder of how meticulous Jackson was, even before he started wrangling hobbits in Middle-earth.
So sit back and I hope you enjoy The Frighteners.
What makes the film endure isn't just nostalgia or its connection to Jackson's later success. It's that the movie genuinely works as a ghost story, a black comedy, and a supernatural thriller. The tonal balance is wild, shifting from slapstick to serial murder in a heartbeat. But somehow Jackson makes it all coherent. The film feels like a haunted carnival ride, constantly threatening to fly off the rails, but always landing with style. The movie's central twist involves Frank battling with not a ghost at all, but the spirit of a serial killer who's continuing his spree from beyond the grave. It roots the story in true crime lore, and these details give the film an unexpected edge, grounding its cartoonish energy in something disturbingly human. Still, Jackson never forgets the fun. The ghost effects, though dated by today's standards, have a unique handmade charm to them. The Reaper glides through walls like a living shadow. The cemetery battles play like supernatural spaghetti westerns. Hell, Arlie Ermey even pops up as a literal ghost drill sergeant, parodying his own from Full Metal Jacket. While the world didn't appreciate it in 1996, time has been kind to The Frighteners. Fans now see it as a bold transitional work, the missing link between Peter Jackson, the horror comedy filmmaker, and Peter Jackson, the epic storyteller. It's filled with the kind of creative risks that big studios rarely take anymore, and it's also bittersweet. Knowing that this was Michael J. Fox's final leading film role gives the movie an added layer of melancholy. Watching him here, you realize how much heart he brought to every character, even in a movie where he's literally surrounded by the dead. And then there's that ending, Frank Bannister walking into the afterlife, finally at peace, and is then sent back to Earth to be happy and finally enjoy his life. It's strangely comforting. Maybe The Frighteners wasn't the commercial hit that Universal had hoped for. Maybe it got buried under Independence Day's alien rubble. But 3 decades later, it stands as one of the most inventive horror comedies of its time. A wild, weird, heartfelt movie that proved that Peter Jackson could juggle tone, spectacle, and most importantly, soul. So if you haven't revisited this film in a while, do yourself a favor. Fire it up on a stormy night, dim the lights, and let those ghosts fly through your walls one more time. Because The Frighteners isn't just a cult classic, but a glimpse at true storytelling, a haunted, hilarious, heartfelt bridge between the past and the future of modern fantasy filmmaking. Maybe the real reason the studio released it in July was because even the Grim Reaper couldn't compete with Will Smith in an alien invasion, but in the long run, The Frighteners had the last laugh, because while Independence Day saved the world, The Frighteners helped build one.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.